Welcome to Saga Dream Tales, the place where you can relax, unwind, and drift into calm stories shaped by ancient worlds. Here, every tale moves slowly, carried by soft words and peaceful rhythm, made to ease your mind and guide you into a quiet space. In today's journey, we follow Odin as he walks through the 9 realms. His path is gentle, steady, and filled with the quiet breath of the old northern lands. All you need to do now is sit back, breathe deeply, and let the story unfold at its own slow pace. Before the sun lifted its first soft glow across the high realm of Asgard, a deep quiet settled over the golden halls. It was the kind of quiet that felt older than memory, older even than the first stories spoken beneath Yggdrasil's branches. In this early stillness, when the world rested between night and dawn, Odin opened his one eye and slowly rose from his high seat in Valaskjal. He did not rise as a ruler preparing for council, nor as the Allfather preparing for battle or judgment. He rose as a traveler, as one who wished to walk, not in power, but in peace. The air inside Valaskjal was cool. Light had not yet reached its silvered roof, and the shadows lay long across the floor. Odin's cloak, plain and simple today, brushed quietly behind him as he stepped forward. His boots touched the stone with soft taps, measured and unhurried. The throne he left behind still hummed with its usual gift of sight, but Odin chose not to look outward through its power. The 9 realms continued to turn, stretch, shift, and breathe beneath the branches of the great world tree. But he wished to see none of it from above. He wished to feel the realms with ordinary steps. This journey had no urgent purpose. No looming conflict called him. No prophecy pushed him forward. Instead, he felt a gentle pull, an old familiar tug toward the quiet parts of existence. Even a god could feel the weight of many years, and sometimes the only way to ease that weight was to walk. Outside, the sky of Asgard rested in a soft, pale gold. It was the color that came just before sunrise, when the world was still wrapped in calm. The halls of the Aesir stood tall and silent. Warriors slept inside Valhalla, their loud laughter replaced by gentle breaths. Fires in the great courtyard had burned low through the night, now glowing only faintly. Smoke drifted upward in thin, almost invisible lines. Odin stepped into the open air and breathed deeply. The scent of cool morning mixed with the distant hint of wood smoke and fresh grass. He looked across the realm he ruled, but he did not study it with a king's sharp eye. He simply observed its calm, letting it settle into him. 2 ravens circled high above. Their wings cut slow arcs across the pale sky. They did not descend, though they saw him. They understood this walk was not for messages or news. Their paths carried them elsewhere today. Odin walked along a quiet stone path that wound through Asgard's open spaces. The stones were smooth and chilled from the night. Dew gathered along the edges, catching small glints of early light. He passed a small garden nestled between 2 halls, where herbs and small flowers grew in neat rows. A single tree stood at the center, thin, young, full of untapped years. Odin paused and rested his palm against its trunk. The bark was cool, and beneath it he felt a steady, slow pulse of life. The realm itself breathed gently around him. His steps carried him onward, past overlooked corners of Asgard that required no guardian, no watchful eye. Here, a patch of tall grass swayed lightly. There a path curved toward a quiet courtyard where a fountain whispered in slow trickles. Everything moved with peace. As Odin approached the great span of Bifrost, he felt the subtle shift in the air. The rainbow bridge shimmered across the sky, stretching outward in wide, soft waves of color. Today, its glow did not blaze with bright intensity. Instead, the hues drifted together smoothly, like a river waking from sleep. He stepped onto the bridge, and the light beneath his feet responded with a gentle hum. Each color flowed slowly, calm and steady. Bifrost did not rush him. Hell. It simply carried him away, guiding him from Asgard and into the endless weave of worlds that rested under Yggdrasil's branches. As the bridge carried him forward, Odin let his mind grow quiet. He did not think of the burdens of rule. He did not reflect on all he had learned through sacrifice and time. He did not peer ahead with the sight that allowed him to know the paths of men, gods, and giants. He simply breathed and watched the shifting colors of the bridge. For even a god, there were moments when it was necessary to walk not as one who shaped the world, but as one who moved within it. Odin's journey would take him through every realm. 9 worlds, each with its own breath, its own heartbeat, its own sense of calm waiting beneath layers of chaos or mystery. Midgard with its slow rivers and waking villages. Vanaheim with its warm fields and gentle magic. Alfheim glowing with soft light. Jotunheim wrapped in frost. Niflheim drifting with ancient mist. Muspelheim burning with resting flame. Svartalfheim pulsing with quiet creation. Helheim covered in stillness. He would walk all of them. He would not hurry. For the worlds continued to turn, and life continued to move, whether fast or slow. But on this day, Odin chose the slower path, the calmer one, Moan, and so began the long, peaceful walk. The golden realm of Asgard rested beneath a sky that shifted gently from pale gold to soft morning white. Dawn had finally reached the high world, spreading its light in slow, warm strokes across rooftops and open courtyards. Though Asgard often echoed with the steps of warriors, the clatter of shields and the rhythmic calls of training, this early hour softened everything. It was a rare kind of silence that wrapped itself around every hall and pathway. Odin stepped off Bifrost and returned to the realm that had shaped him just as he had shaped it. Yet today he did not return as a king seeking his throne, or as a watchful guardian looking for threats. He returned as a traveler who wished to see Asgard not in its loudness or power, but in its quiet. The rainbow bridge faded behind him as he walked forward, its colors drifting away like mist. The air carried a faint coolness, a reminder that the heat of the day had not yet begun. Each breath he took tasted fresh, a mixture of early dew and the lingering smoke from the small night fires that burned in distant corners. He walked slowly, taking the time to notice what others might overlook. The stones of the pathway were smooth beneath his boots, shaped by centuries of footsteps. A small patch of moss clung to the edges of one stone, damp and bright green from the morning. Odin lowered his gaze and studied it for a moment. Even here, in the realm of gods, where power and might were often celebrated, something as small as moss still grew with quiet bravery. Odin continued down the path. The first hall he passed was a long structure with tall, arching doorways carved with patterns of storms and stars. These carvings told stories of victories, oaths, and ancient beginnings. But today, they simply stood as silent marks of memory. No one emerged from the hall. No one trained outside. Only the sound of Odin's slow steps filled the air. He turned toward an open courtyard. Long ago, this place had been built as a gathering spot where warriors would rest after long feasts and speak of their travels. But now, it stood empty. Wooden benches lined the edges, still damp with dew. A clay cup rested on one table, left from the night before, catching droplets of water that slid down its side. Odin ran his hand along the surface of a nearby pillar. The stone felt cold at first, then warmer as his touch lingered. He could feel the faint hum of Asgard's magic woven into it. Everything in this realm carried a piece of its long history, held together not just by strength but by countless moments of stillness like this. He walked past rows of statues, carved in the likeness of ancient warriors. Their stone eyes gazed outward with the patience of centuries. Birds perched on their shoulders, silent and calm, as though they too understood the peace of this hour. Further along, Odin reached a small garden tucked between two large halls. The garden was simple, just a soft patch of grass, a few stones arranged in a loose circle, and a single tree. This tree had been planted many years ago, long after the great battles had quieted. Odin approached it and rested his palm against its trunk. The bark was rough in some places, smooth in others. The tree's branches stretched upward confidently, though still young. He closed his eye and listened, not with the magic that allowed him to hear distant events, but with ordinary sense. The leaves rustled in a soft rhythm. A small bird hopped among the roots, pecking lightly at the ground. Somewhere beyond the garden, a faint breeze brushed across the courtyard. These small sounds formed a quiet music, the kind that only existed when the world was not busy. Odin breathed slowly, letting it settle into him. He moved on from the garden and continued toward the great hall of Valhalla. Its structure stood tall, shining in the newborn sunlight. The golden roof caught and scattered the early light across the ground. The massive doors were closed, but Odin knew that inside, countless warriors slept deeply, recovering from nights of feasting and celebration. He did not enter. He simply walked past, listening to the faint echo of stillness within. Even the bravest warriors needed quiet, and Valhalla honored that rhythm. From there, Odin descended a lower path that led to an overlook. Asgard spread before him, vast fields of golden grass, gentle hills, shimmering walls, and the soft glow of distant structures. Beyond all of it, the sky continued to brighten. The overlook was lined with smooth stone benches. Odin sat on one, allowing his body to rest. He did not often sit in such simple places, but today, every pause felt intentional. His cloak settled softly around him. As he sat, a pair of small birds landed a short distance away. They pecked at the ground, hopping lightly from one patch of grass to another. They were unaware of who sat nearby, but Odin preferred it that way. For this journey, he wished to be unnoticed. He thought of the long path ahead, not with anticipation or with planning, but with the same acceptance one feels when watching the sky shift colors. The realms would reveal themselves in their own ways, just as Asgard did now, slowly and gently. When he rose from the bench, he felt the peace of this place lingering within him. His steps resumed their calm rhythm as he headed toward a small archway leading to the edges of the realm. The soft glow of Bifrost faded as Odin stepped into Midgard, the realm of humans. Morning light spread gently across the land, painting it in soft tones that eased the eyes and calmed the mind. A faint layer of mist hovered over the fields, slowly lifting as the sun rose higher. Nothing here was loud or hurried. Everything seemed to breathe with a slow, steady rhythm. Odin stood on a narrow, dirt path, feeling the loose soil beneath his boots. The path curved ahead in long, relaxed bends, shaped by countless hewn footsteps. Midgard did not carry the electric energy of Asgard or the heavy presence of the giant realms. Instead, it welcomed him with open stillness. Tall grass bordered both sides of the path, reaching almost to his knees. Dew clung to the blades in tiny droplets, each one catching the morning light and scattering it in soft glimmers. A light breeze drifted through, sending the grass into gentle waves. Odin watched the movement for a moment, letting the simplicity of it settle into him. Not far away, a small grove of trees stood with thin trunks and trembling leaves. Birds perched among the branches, warming themselves after the cool night. Their chirps were soft and spaced apart, forming a peaceful pattern that blended with the whisper of the grass. Odin listened, admiring the quiet harmony of life in Midgard. Even without magic, the realm carried its own kind of strength, one rooted in balance and patience. The path soon led him up a gentle hill. When he reached the top, he paused to observe the wide landscape revealed before him. Rolling hills stretched outward, touching the horizon. Wildflowers painted spots of color along the slopes, yellow, white, and purple patches that swayed in the breeze. Small streams cut thin lines across the land, glinting in the sunlight like silver threads. He descended the hill slowly, following the sound of running water. At the base, the stream appeared, clear and shallow. Pebbles of various shapes rested beneath the surface, their colors muted but pleasing to the eye. Odin knelt and dipped his fingers into the water. It was cool and refreshing, moving with a pace that reflected the calm heartbeat of the realm. Ripples drifted outward, disappearing gently into the distance. Continuing his walk, Odin followed the stream as it wound past clusters of rocks and patches of tall reeds. Insects hovered above the water, floating lightly with wings that shimmered when they caught the sun. Fish darted beneath the surface, moving in smooth arcs. Every part of Midgard seemed to follow a quiet cycle, unchanged by the concerns of gods or giants. After some time, the stream widened into a broad lake. The surface was smooth and mirror-like, reflecting the sky above with striking clarity. White clouds drifted slowly across the water's face, creating the illusion of a second sky beneath the first. Odin stopped at the shore, standing still to take in the peaceful view. Only a small breeze disturbed the surface, creating ripples that softly erased the sky's reflection. He walked along the shore, leaving faint footprints in the damp soil. The lake curved widely, embraced by tall reeds that brushed against each other with a soft rustle. A single bird hopped from stalk to stalk, pausing often to gaze at the water. Its small movements added a gentle liveliness to the calm scene. A flat, sun-warmed rock near the water's edge caught Odin's attention. He sat on it, letting the rock's warmth spread through him. From this spot, he could see across the lake to a dense forest on the opposite side. Sunlight filtered through the branches, creating shifting shadows on the ground. The trees swayed slowly as the wind passed through their leaves. Odin took a deep breath. The air carried the scent of fresh water, pine and earth, warming under sunlight. In Midgard, even the air felt grounded, solid, real, free from the heavy magic that filled other realms. Eventually he rose and continued along the path that curved away from the lake. Open fields soon replaced the shoreline, and wildflowers spread across them in bright blankets of color. Bees drifted lazily from flower to flower, their soft hum adding another layer to the realm's gentle soundscape. Odin moved slowly through the field, letting the petals brush lightly against his cloak. In the distance, small human homes came into view, simple wooden structures with thatched roofs. Thin smoke trails rose from their chimneys, dissolving into the sky. The sight was humble yet warm. A few humans walked between the houses, tending chores or guiding animals. Their movements were unhurried, shaped by routine and grounded living. Odin watched from afar, respecting their space. He was only a quiet traveler on this journey, not a visitor seeking attention. Seeing the mortals live their daily lives brought Odin a subtle sense of calm. They had no magic to aid them, no divine strength to call upon, yet they endured, thrived, and found meaning in the smallest actions. This resilience carried a quiet beauty of its own. The path carried him past the homes and toward a tall hill crowned with a single oak tree. Odin climbed steadily, the earth firm beneath his steps. At the hilltop, he paused and turned to look back across Midgard. The lake shimmered in the distance. The wildflower fields spread in delicate colors. Smoke from the village chimneys rose in soft spirals. Everything seemed peaceful, arranged in a natural balance that required no intervention from the divine. The breeze was stronger at the top, brushing his cloak and carrying with it the scent of grass and open fields. Odin stood there for a long while, letting the wind pass over him. In that moment, he felt the calm spirit of Midgard settle around him, the slow pulse of a realm that moved forward without haste or fear. When he finally turned to continue his journey, he noticed a faint shimmer appearing at the base of the hill. Soft colors flickered like early morning mist. Bifrost had returned, ready to guide him to the next realm. Odin descended the hill with unhurried steps. When he reached the glowing light, he looked back one last time. Midgard remained just as calm as when he arrived, a realm of grounded beauty and quiet life. Then he stepped into the shimmering bridge. The colors rose around him in soft waves. The soft radiance of Bifrost gradually faded, revealing a new landscape shaped by gentle curves, warm colors, and quiet light. Odin stepped into Vanaheim, the realm of the Vanir. A soft breeze brushed across his face the moment he arrived, carrying with it the sense of blooming fields and distant forests. Everything in Vanaheim seemed to exhale peace. The ground beneath his feet was covered in thick moss, soft like a cushion, and warm from the filtered sunlight drifting through tall trees. Their trunks rose gracefully, twisting upward as though following the direction of the breeze. Their branches spread wide, forming a natural canopy that allowed beams of golden light to break through in scattered patterns. The air shimmered with tiny particles of pollen dancing lazily in these rays. Odin took a slow step forward. The moss yielded silently, giving each step a soft, sinking feel. Around him, the forest glowed with color, deep greens, soft ambers, and bright touches of flower petals that broke through the carpet of moss. Vanaheim felt alive, but its liveliness was gentle and grounded, like a steady heartbeat. He walked along a narrow natural path, formed by the repeated passage of animals. Leaves rustled quietly in the canopy above, stirred by a wind that seemed to move with intention. Small creatures peeked from behind roots and branches, their eyes curious but unafraid. In Vanaheim, nothing rushed away. Everything coexisted peacefully. After some time, the forest thinned, revealing a wide meadow bathed in warm sunlight. The grass was tall and soft, bending slowly with the breeze. Wildflowers dotted the meadow in clusters, delicate yellows, gentle pinks, and pale blues. They swayed in unison, creating a slow rhythm as the wind passed through them. Odin stepped into the meadow, the tips of the grass brushing lightly against his knees. The sky above was clear and open, painted in a rich blue that deepened as it stretched toward the horizon. Soft clouds drifted slowly across it, taking their time and casting broad, drifting shadows over the meadow. Odin watched the shifting patterns of light and shadow on the ground, appreciating how the realm moved in cycles of calm. As he walked, he noticed a shallow stream cutting through the meadow. The water was clear and soft in color, flowing in relaxed curves rather than straight lines. It moved as though guided by the land itself, not by force or pressure. Odin approached the stream and knelt beside it. He dipped his hand into the cool water and watched the ripples move outward in slow rings. The stream carried no urgency. It followed its path with ease. Near the stream, a group of tall reeds swayed in a soft pattern. Small insects hovered above them, their wings catching the sun in faint glimmers. A frog rested on a smooth stone at the water's edge, blinking slowly as if lulled by the surrounding calm. Odin admired the ordinary beauty of the scene. Vanaheim was a realm where even the smallest moments seemed carefully balanced. He continued across the meadow until he reached the far side, where the ground gently lifted into rolling hills. The hills were covered in short grass, bright and healthy. Odin climbed the first slope at a steady pace. From the top he looked out across Vanaheim. Forests framed the horizon. Meadows spread in soft, colorful expanses. Streams wound through them in slow, shimmering lines. Everything here lived in quiet cooperation. Descending the hill, Odin entered a grove filled with fruit-bearing trees. The air was sweeter here, carrying the scent of ripened fruit. The branches hung low with the weight of their harvest, their leaves rustling gently. Fallen fruit lay scattered on the ground, creating small patches of bright color. Animals moved between the trees, feeding peacefully. They glanced at Odin, but did not flee, as though sensing his calm intent. He walked deeper into the grove, observing the soft light filtering through the leaves. Sunbeams sparkled on the fruit skins, making them glow. The rhythmic sway of the branches, the quiet steps of small creatures, and the faint hum of insects all blended into a soothing harmony. Eventually, the grove opened into another meadow, this one much smaller, but filled with tall, golden grass. The wind moved steadily here, creating slow waves that rippled across the entire field. Odin walked through it, feeling the grass brush against his arms. The sound of the wind made a soft, almost musical whisper as it passed through the stalks. At the far edge of the meadow stood a large stone, smooth and rounded from ages of weather. Moss clung to its base, and sunlight warmed its top. Odin rested his hand upon it, feeling the gentle warmth radiate into his palm. This stone had likely sat here long before any traveler crossed its path. It held the memory of centuries quietly, just as Vanaheim itself held the memory of peace. He followed another natural path, leading from the meadow into a peaceful valley. Here, small ponds reflected the sky in fragments. Lily pads floated on their surfaces, drifting slowly. Dragonflies glided above the water in smooth arcs. The ponds connected through narrow channels, forming a network of still pools that mirrored the calmness of the realm. Odin paused at one of the ponds, watching small fish dart beneath the surface in lazy movements. They swam without urgency, guided by instinct and the slow rhythm of their environment. The water was so clear that their shadows could be seen on the pond's sandy floor. Odin remained still for a while, letting the serenity of the place soak into him. When he resumed walking, he found a cluster of stones that formed a natural circle. Grass grew tall around the stones, and patches of soft moss filled the gaps between them. Odin stood within the circle for a moment, sensing the quiet energy resting in the earth here. It was not magic in the loud sense of the word, but a gentle natural presence that seemed to flow from the land itself. He lingered for a time, simply breathing. Then, feeling his visit nearing its end, he looked toward the horizon. At first, there was nothing unusual, but slowly, the faint shimmer of Bifrost emerged, as soft as the rising of distant light. Its colors gathered gently, without breaking the calm of the realm. Odin made his way toward the shimmering glow, walking with the same unhurried steps he had taken throughout Vanaheim. As he reached the edge of the light, he paused and looked back. The realm remained serene, meadows swaying in slow waves, forests breathing in gentle patterns, streams gliding quietly along their beds. A realm of harmony. Then Odin stepped forward, allowing the soft colors of Bifrost to rise around him once more. The colors of Bifrost faded into cool tones of gray and blue. Odin stepped onto solid ground, and the air around him grew sharper, carrying a crisp bite that hinted at distant storms. He had arrived in Jotunheim, the realm of the giants. Everything here seemed shaped by time, wind, and stone. Even the silence felt heavier. The landscape stretched wide and uneven, carved by ages of harsh weather. Jagged peaks rose in great uneven lines across the horizon. Their tops disappeared into low clouds that drifted slowly, forming long shadows over the land. The ground beneath Odin's feet was rough and scattered with broken stone. Each step felt firm and grounding, as though the realm itself wished to remind visitors of its strength. A cold breeze slid through the air, brushing against Odin's cloak and carrying with it the scent of stone and ice. The breeze grew steady, never rushing but constant, like the deep breath of a massive creature. From somewhere far away, a low rumble echoed. Not loud, not sudden, but slow, like distant thunder rolling across valleys. Odin began walking along a natural ridge, shaped by the wind. The path was narrow, but solid, cutting between tall rock formations. These formations rose like pillars, their surfaces cracked and weathered. Some leaned slightly, casting long shadows over the path. Moss clung to their lower halves in small patches, providing a soft contrast to the rough stone. As he continued, he saw a wide plain open before him. The plain was covered in short, silver-gray grass that bent easily with the wind. Large boulders lay scattered across it, some half-buried, others sitting alone like silent guardians. Odin stepped into the plain and felt the wind strengthen, sweeping across the open space with a steady presence. Far to his left, a frozen river stretched along the base of a mountain. The ice was thick and pale, with cracks forming long, slow-moving lines across its surface. Beneath the ice, faint shapes hinted at the river's movement, though it flowed at a pace too slow to be seen clearly. Odin walked toward it, drawn by the subtle shimmer reflecting from its frozen skin. Reaching the riverbank, he knelt and placed his hand upon the ice. It was cold, but not hostile, just firm, solid, and ancient. The surface held patterns formed by years of freezing and thawing, creating natural carvings that resembled swirling storms. Odin studied these patterns for a moment, appreciating their simple, rugged beauty. As he rose, he noticed the sound of the wind shifting slightly. It whistled through the rocks and across the ice, producing a deep, resonant tone. The sound seemed almost like a slow, steady chant, shaped by nothing more than the natural curves of stone and air. Leaving the frozen river behind, Odin walked toward the base of a tall mountain. The mountain rose sharply, its cliffs rough and dark. Patches of snow clung to its sides, forming long streaks of white. At the base, a wide field of broken rocks formed a natural slope. Odin climbed carefully, stepping from stone to stone, each move deliberate and unhurried. From higher up the slope, he could see more of Jotunheim. The landscape stretched far into the distance, valleys shaped by glaciers, cliffs rising in sharp angles, and distant forests of tall, thin trees that swayed slowly in the wind. The trees here had thick bark and long branches, shaped by years of enduring strong weather. They stood together in dense groups, forming dark pockets of stillness among the rocky terrain. Reaching a flat ledge near the mountainside, Odin paused. The ledge provided a clear view of the sky, which shifted in slow patterns of gray and blue. Thick clouds rolled gently across it, their shapes changing as they moved. Occasionally, a faint flash of distant lightning flickered behind them, illuminating the clouds from within. The thunder that followed was soft, deep, and delayed, giving the impression of a storm too slow to fully form. Odin continued along the ledge until it met a natural stone arch. The arch framed a view of a wide valley below. In the valley, a slow river flowed between dark rock walls. Its surface reflected the dim sky in uneven ripples. Large stones sat in its path, forcing the water to curl around them in wide, smooth curves. The sound of the river was low and steady, blending with the wind to create a calm, layered hum. He made his way down into the valley. The ground here was softer, covered in a mix of gravel and dark soil. A few hardy plants grew along the edges of the river, their leaves thick and pale from the cold. Odin walked along the riverbank, watching the water move. Though the realm was known for its storms and powerful giants, the river flowed with surprising gentleness. Further along the valley, a massive stone rested alone. It was smooth on one side, rough on the other, as though shaped by centuries of wind and water. Odin approached it and placed his hand on its surface. The stone radiated a calm, grounded presence. It seemed to hold the memory of the realm's long history. Storms endured, winters survived, and quiet moments carved into its body. He stood beside the stone for some time, letting the calm weight of Jotunheim settle around him. The realm did not overwhelm with noise or motion. Instead, it expressed its power through stillness, patience, and endurance. Eventually, he continued deeper into the valley, where tall cliffs rose on either side. Snowflakes began to drift down from the sky, slow, steady, and light. They landed softly on Odin's shoulders, melting into the fabric of his cloak. The snowfall added another layer to the realm's quiet atmosphere, creating faint patterns as the flakes touched the ground. As the snowfall grew steadier, the faint shimmer of Bifrost appeared near the valley's entrance. Its colors glowed gently against the stark landscape, forming a soft contrast to the gray tones of Jotunheim. Odin walked toward the shimmering light with deliberate, unhurried steps. The snow continued to fall, the wind continued to hum, and the realm remained grounded in its ancient stillness. At the edge of the glow, Odin turned once more to look back. The cliffs, the river, the mountains, and the wide plains stood in their quiet strength, unchanged, unshaken, and enduring. A realm of stone and storm. He stepped into Bifrost, letting its colors rise around him once again. The colors of Bifrost softened into warm gold as Odin stepped into Alfheim, the realm of the light elves. A soft radiance drifted through the air, not bright or overwhelming, but steady and tender, like morning light filtered through soft clouds. Everything here seemed touched by a quiet glow that blended naturally with the land rather than shining sharply upon it. The ground beneath his boots was covered in a smooth layer of pale grass, each blade shimmering faintly as though holding a bit of captured sunlight. The air carried a warm sweetness, scented with blooming flowers and fresh greenery. Odin stood still for a moment, feeling the realm's gentleness settle around him like a soft cloak. Ahead stretched a wide forest of tall, slender trees. Their trunks glowed faintly with a pale silver tone, and their leaves shimmered in delicate shades of green and gold. The leaves rustled softly as the wind moved through them, producing a calming whisper that seemed to flow in gentle waves. Between the trees, thin beams of light drifted down like strings of silk, illuminating patches of moss and small flowers. Odin began walking into the forest. With each step, the moss beneath his feet pressed softly, releasing subtle hints of earthy fragrance. The flowers growing between the roots were small and bright, their petals opening and closing slowly, as if breathing with the rhythm of the realm. Some glowed faintly at their centers, their warm light creating tiny halos that spread across the moss. The deeper he walked, the more peaceful the atmosphere became. Small insects with delicate wings hovered around the flowers, their movements slow and unhurried. Birds with long, soft feathers glided between the branches in graceful arcs, their wings emitting faint pulses of light with each gentle stroke. They moved without sound, their quiet presence blending seamlessly with the landscape. Odin reached a clearing where sunlight pooled in a calm circle. In the middle of the clearing stood a single tall tree, larger than the others. Its trunk shimmered in soft gold, and its leaves formed a gentle canopy that swayed in rhythmic motion. Beneath it lay a small pond, its surface smooth and reflective. The water glowed with a faint silver tint, mirroring the branches above. He approached the pond slowly. The water was so still that it looked like glass. When Odin knelt and touched its surface, the ripples that formed were smooth and perfectly round, spreading outward with quiet precision. Beneath the surface, small silver fish moved lazily in calm loops. Their scales caught the faint light, creating soft flashes as they glided. After taking in the calm beauty of the clearing, Odin continued along a narrow path, formed naturally by the forest. The path led him through gently shifting patches of light and shadow. Occasionally, a cluster of glowing mushrooms appeared at the base of a tree, casting soft, colorful light onto the roots around them. Their glow changed slowly, cycling through shades of blue, pink, and soft amber. The forest eventually began to thin, opening into a wide meadow filled with tall golden grass that swayed with the wind in long, sweeping motions. Small pockets of flowers, pale blue, warm pink, and soft white, clustered throughout the field. Butterflies with shimmering wings drifted from one cluster to another, leaving faint trails of light behind. In the middle of the meadow, a gentle hill rose, covered in shorter grass that shifted like ripples in calm water. Odin climbed the slope, leisurely. When he reached the top, he paused to take in the broad view of Alfheim. From this vantage point, the realm looked like an endless stretch of soft light and gentle motion. Forests, meadows, ponds, and patches of soft shimmering glow, arranged in peaceful harmony. The sky above Alfheim was clear and pale, almost translucent. High, thin clouds drifted slowly across it, leaving long streaks of soft light behind them. The sun here did not shine harshly. Instead, it radiated a warm gentleness that wrapped the entire realm in calm brightness. Odin closed his eye for a moment, letting the warmth settle into him. Descending the hill, he reached a winding stream. The water was crystal clear, filled with soft glimmers as sunlight touched it. The stream moved with graceful curves rather than straight lines, following the natural shapes of the land. Odin walked alongside it, watching the currents shift and break around smooth, pale stones. In one area, the stream widened into a shallow pool where the water was calm and bright. Pale green reeds grew along the edge, swaying lightly in the breeze. Tiny glowing insects hovered above the water, creating small specks of drifting light. Odin stood near the pool for a while, watching the reflections on its surface ripple gently with the wind. As he continued walking, the landscape transitioned into a region where the grass grew shorter and more colorful. Gradual slopes formed gentle hills, each topped with clusters of flower bushes. Their petals opened slowly as Odin passed, revealing layers of pastel shades. Even the air seemed to shimmer faintly here, carrying warmth in slow, steady waves. Eventually, the path led him to a grove of small trees with wide, overhanging branches. Their leaves sparkled softly, catching the light at different angles. Beneath them, the ground was coated in a blanket of small star-shaped flowers that glowed faintly when brushed by the breeze. Odin walked carefully through the grove, watching the flowers shift and pulse with gentle light. The grove ended at the edge of a lake. The lake was vast and smooth, its surface reflecting the pale sky with near-perfect clarity. Soft waves moved across it, created by the steady breeze. Along the shore, smooth stones lay in long rows, some glowing faintly with warmth from the sun. Odin sat on one of these stones, feeling the gentle heat radiate from it. He watched the lake for a long while. Birds drifted low over the water, their feathers glowing faintly with each slow flap of their wings. The light on the lake's surface shimmered softly, creating a pattern that moved like woven threads. The faint sound of the water reaching the shore formed a soothing rhythm. Eventually, Odin noticed a soft shimmer rising in the distance, a familiar signal. Bifrost reappeared near the far end of the lake, its colors gathering gradually, like a dawn rising from the horizon. He stood and made his way toward the shimmering glow. The breeze accompanied him, carrying the warm, sweet scent of Alfheim's flowers. As he reached the edge of Bifrost's light, he turned back for a final look. The lake, the forests, the meadows, and the gentle glow of the realm stretched out in peaceful unity. A realm of light and bloom. Then he stepped into the soft colors, letting them rise around him once again. The colors of Bifrost shifted from soft gold into muted gray as Odin descended into Svartalfheim, the realm that rested deep beneath layers of stone and earth. The air was cooler here, carrying a faint metallic scent that drifted slowly through the stillness. The ground beneath his boots felt firm and uneven, made of dark rock smoothed by centuries of quiet, steady work. Light in this realm did not come from the sun, for there was no sky above, only broad ceilings of stone, stretching endlessly in wide arches. Instead, faint glows pulsed gently from crystals embedded in the walls, casting soft pools of blue, green, and warm amber light. The illumination was subtle, lingering in calm patches that guided Odin's path without overwhelming the shadows. He moved slowly through a tall cavern, where the ceiling rose like a dome, covered in thousands of tiny crystals. Their combined glow resembled a sky, full of stars, but quieter, softer, and closer. The dim shapes of ancient stone pillars supported the arching roof, each pillar wide at the base and narrowing as it rose. Some had been carved with slow, careful patterns, spirals, runes, and lines that flowed gently like rivers of markings. The floor of the cavern was smooth, shaped by countless feet over ages long past. As Odin walked, the sound of his steps echoed lightly, fading quickly into the deep air. A faint warmth radiated from certain sections of the walls, where orange and red crystals grew in clusters. Their glow spread slowly across the stone, creating gentle waves of light. He continued along a tunnel carved into the stone by steady and patient hands. The tunnel curved in long arcs, its surface marked by chisels that had shaped it long ago. Small lantern-like crystals protruded from the walls, providing soft illumination at regular intervals. The gentle glow reflected off the smooth floor, giving the tunnel a sense of steady calm. As Odin walked deeper, the sound of quiet dripping water reached his ears. The tunnel opened into a wide cavern, carved by nature and later shaped by craft. In the center of the cavern rested a long underground pool. Its surface was dark and still, but thin ribbons of pale blue light shimmered beneath the water, coming from clusters of luminous stones on the bottom. Odin approached the pool. Its surface reflected the faint glow of the cavern walls, forming a mirror-like image of the ceiling above. The smooth black water rippled lightly as a small drop fell from a stalactite into the pool. Rings spread outward, touching the edges with slow, rhythmic movement. Not far from the water, low stone benches had been carved from the cavern floor, their surfaces worn smooth. Beyond the pool, pathways split in several directions. Odin chose the one sloping gently downward. The descent was steady, and the light became dimmer the deeper he went. Faint vibrations hummed through the stone, evidence of quiet activity in distant chambers. The hum was not harsh but soft, like the vibration of a plucked string echoing through a hollow surface. The path widened into a large chamber filled with stone structures. Some rose tall like towers, while others formed low, rounded shapes. Their surfaces were smooth, carved with care. Pale blue light from crystal clusters in the walls cast soft shadows across the structures, making them appear like still shapes resting in silent meditation. Among these shapes lay a long, flat stone, an anvil carved directly from the cavern floor. It was polished and gleamed faintly with silver reflections. Nearby, tools rested neatly on stone shelves: hammers, tongs, chisels, each crafted with precision. Though the chamber was empty, it carried the lingering warmth of work recently completed. The scent of stone dust and faint metal hung lightly in the air. Odin paused there, absorbing the quiet hum of the space. The realm of the dark elves was not cold or harsh. It was calm, steady, and shaped with patience. Every tool, every carving, every illuminated path had been formed with purpose. The silence was not emptiness. It was focus, stillness, and the slow rhythm of a place that worked without rush. Leaving the chamber, he followed another passage. This one sloped upward slightly, illuminated by a soft green glow. The walls were lined with thin sheets of crystal that shifted faintly in color, like reflections rippling across water. The path led into a cavern where the ceiling was lower, giving the room a warmer, closer atmosphere. In the center of the cavern stood a pillar of stone with thin cracks glowing bright white within it. The cracks pulsed gently like a slow heartbeat, sending soft light through the room. Around the pillar, small stone circles had been arranged on the floor. Simple rings carved with runes. Some were filled with small glowing pebbles that shimmered gently. Odin circled the pillar, watching the light pulse through the cracks. The light moved slowly, rising from the base toward the top before fading and restarting. It reminded him of this steady rhythm of breathing, calm, patient, endless. Continuing onward, he entered a narrow corridor that opened into a vast chasm. A long stone bridge crossed the chasm, suspended between two towering walls of dark rock. Crystals embedded in the walls cast down thin beams of light that illuminated the bridge in gentle patterns. The air here was cooler and carried a deep stillness. Odin stepped onto the bridge, moving with slow, deliberate steps. Below him, the chasm extended into darkness. Faint glimmers from distant crystals flickered far beneath, like tiny sparks drifting in the depths. Above him, the chasm walls rose high, their surfaces crisscrossed with glowing lines that ran in long curves and straight paths. Reaching the far end of the bridge, Odin entered a chamber unlike the others. Here, the stone was polished to a smooth sheen, reflecting the soft lights around it. In the center, a raised platform held a cluster of large crystals. They emitted a warm, steady glow that filled the entire cavern with gentle radiance. The air felt slightly warmer, as if the light itself carried a soft heat. Odin stood on the edge of the platform for a while. The glow washed over him in slow, soothing waves. In Svartalfheim, light was rare but cherished, gentle, steady, and created with care. This chamber felt like the heart of the realm's calm glow. After some time, a faint shimmer appeared behind him. The colors of Bifrost gathered slowly, glowing softly among the dark stone. Odin turned toward it, feeling the familiar pull of the next step in his journey. Before entering the rainbow light, he looked back at the cavern. The crystals continued to glow in their steady pattern, shaping the darkness into calm, gentle warmth. Then he stepped into the rising colors, leaving the deep quiet of Svartalfheim behind. The soft light of Bifrost faded into cooler shades as Odin arrived in Jotunheim, the realm of giants. The air was crisp, carrying a faint chill that drifted across the wide open land. Here the world stretched out in vast shapes, tall mountains, broad valleys, and endless ridges of gray stone rising in quiet strength. Nothing felt cramped or small. Everything was large, open, and shaped by the patient force of nature. Beneath Odin's feet, the ground was firm and uneven, made of coarse gravel mixed with patches of hardy moss. Thin streams of wind swept across the land, moving steadily through the open terrain. The scent of cold stone and distant evergreen trees floated with each breeze. The sky above was high and pale, painted with long bands of clouds that drifted slowly in the wind. Odin stood still for a moment, letting the vastness of the realm settle around him. Jotunheim felt different from the realms he had visited before. It was raw and wide, shaped by large forces, but held in a steady calm. There was strength here, but not in a violent way. It was the steady, enduring strength of mountains that had stood through countless ages. He began walking across a wide plateau that stretched far into the distance. The surface was covered in flat stones, some piled in layers, others cracked from age and weather. The stones were cool to the touch, holding the memory of long, slow winds. Occasionally, sharp lines of frost clung to their edges, forming thin white layers. As Odin continued forward, he reached the edge of the plateau where the land dropped into a valley below. The descent was long and gradual, leading into a wide field filled with tall, thin grass. The grass had a silvery tint, and it swayed slowly in the breeze. The endless movement of the field created a wave-like pattern that rolled quietly toward the base of the distant mountains. He walked down the slope and into the valley. The grass brushed gently against his legs as he passed through it. The wind created a soft, rustling sound that spread across the valley in a calming rhythm. In the distance, massive boulders lay scattered as if they had been placed randomly by ancient forces. Some were smooth and round, others sharp and uneven. Odin approached one of the largest boulders. It stood taller than most houses, its rough surface shaped by centuries of wind. He placed a hand on the stone and felt the faint warmth from the sunlight that had touched it earlier. Small patches of moss grew in its cracks, forming soft green lines against the gray surface. Leaving the boulder behind, Odin followed a narrow stream that wound through the valley. The water was clear and cold, flowing in smooth currents over small stones. Sunlight reflected on its surface in shimmering patterns that shifted gently as the water moved. Along the stream's edge, clusters of sturdy plants grew in small groups, their leaves thick and resistant to the cold air. The stream led him toward a series of low cliffs. The cliffs rose in layers, forming long terraces that climbed toward the mountains. Small waterfalls spilled over their edges, pouring into shallow pools below. The sound of falling water echoed across the valley, blending with the steady wind in a peaceful harmony. Odin climbed the stone terraces, moving at a gentle pace. The rock was slightly damp near the waterfalls, glistening faintly with reflected light. When he reached the top, he stepped onto a broad ledge that offered a wide view of the landscape. From this height, the valley appeared even larger, stretching in long lines toward distant ridges. Beyond the valley, tall mountains rose in steep slopes. Their peaks were covered in layers of ice that caught the sunlight in a pale glow. Thin streams of snow drifted from their tops as the wind brushed across them. Odin moved toward these mountains, following a natural path that wound through scattered stones. As he approached the base of the first mountain, the air grew colder. Snow patches lined the edges of the path, some melting slowly in the sunlight, others resting in small drifts. The sound of wind increased here, creating a deep humming tone as it traveled along the rock faces. The path narrowed, leading him into a wide canyon between two mountains. The walls of the canyon were tall and rugged, rising sharply toward the sky. Their surfaces carried long scars from ancient rockslides and deep cracks created by slow shifts in the earth. Despite their size, the canyon walls stood in silent stillness, holding the calm weight of time. Odin walked through the canyon, listening to the echo of his steps bounce softly off the stone. Occasionally, small patches of ice glittered in the shadows where the sunlight could not reach. Thin streams of water trickled down the walls, forming small rivulets that disappeared into cracks below. As he reached the far end of the canyon, the walls opened into a large hidden valley between the mountains. This valley was quieter than the one he had passed earlier. The grass here was shorter, and the ground smoother. The wind moved softly, creating only gentle murmurs. In the center of the valley stood several enormous stones, arranged naturally into a rough circle. Each stone was shaped by wind and time, rising tall and sturdy. Odin walked between them, feeling the deep stillness that filled the space. The stones held the peaceful power of old mountains, silent, steady, and unmoving. Walking through the circle felt like passing through a memory of the land itself, shaped by nothing but the slow and patient forces of nature. He remained in the valley for a while, absorbing the quiet atmosphere. The broad mountains around him rose like calm guardians, their snow-covered peaks glowing faintly in the cool light. The wind shifted occasionally, bringing hints of pine from far-off forests. When Odin was ready, he continued walking until he reached a ridge overlooking a vast landscape of gray rock, winding rivers, and distant snowy peaks. The view stretched endlessly, making the world feel open and boundless. Jotunheim was a realm of large shapes and slow rhythms. distant storms that moved calmly, mountains that stood like ancient thoughts, and valleys shaped by patient weather. As he looked across the wide realm, a soft shimmer began to gather behind him. Bifrost appeared in gentle colors, forming quietly among the stones. Odin turned toward the glowing light, feeling the pull toward the next step of his journey. He took one last look at the broad mountains, the sweeping valleys, and the deep quiet of the giant's land. Then he stepped into the calm colors of Bifrost once more. The calm colors of Bifrost shifted into deep orange and soft red as Odin stepped into Muspelheim, the realm of fire. A gentle wave of warmth surrounded him immediately. It was not harsh or burning, but steady and constant, like the soft heat of glowing embers. The air shimmered faintly, carrying the quiet pulse of a world shaped by fire from its first breath. Beneath Odin's feet, the ground was dark and rough, made of volcanic stone formed in slow, ancient layers. Some areas glowed faintly, as hidden warmth rose through the cracks. Far from being wild or explosive, the realm felt like a calm furnace that had burned for ages without interruption. The steady heat held everything in a timeless stillness. Odin began to walk across a wide plain of smooth black stone. Thin lines of red light glowed beneath the surface, like slow rivers of warmth moving under glass. They pulsed in gentle rhythms, spreading soft glimmers across the plain. Each faint pulse traveled outward in quiet waves, disappearing gradually into the distance. The air carried a warm, dry scent, mixed with the faint smell of minerals warmed by steady heat. Lava did not pour wildly here. Instead, it flowed in slow streams along natural channels, carved into the stone over countless ages. The streams were bright, but their movement was peaceful, flowing with steady grace, like a glowing river made of light. As Odin followed one of these glowing channels, he reached a small ridge where the land dipped gently. Below lay a wide basin filled with heat-softened rock shaped by time and temperature. Thin wisps of shimmering air rose from the basin, bending the view slightly as the heat drifted upward. The ground here had smooth curves, as though the fire had slowly molded it like quiet hands shaping clay. Odin descended into the basin. The stone radiated a gentle warmth that seeped slowly into his boots. Across the basin, small vents in the earth released occasional breaths of warm air. Each breath rose in soft waves, carrying a faint orange glow. The vents did not erupt or shout. They exhaled with rhythmic patience, like the slow breathing of the realm itself. At the far end of the basin, tall pillars of basalt rose from the ground. Their surfaces were dark and smooth, shaped into long hexagonal columns standing closely together. Thin streams of glowing lava flowed gently between the pillars, illuminating them from below. The soft, red reflections made the pillars seem alive with faint, inner light. Odin walked between the columns, the light shifting slowly across the stone as he moved. The gentle heat coming from the streams created a calm envelope around him. The soft sound of the slow-moving lava echoed between the pillars in low, steady tones that resonated through the chamber. Beyond the pillars, the land opened into a field of glowing sands. The grains shimmered between gold and orange, warmed gently by the molten rivers nearby. They moved softly in the faint wind, forming slow waves that shifted like the surface of a quiet sea. Each wave caught the glow of the realm, creating long, smooth patterns of light. Odin walked across the warm sands, feeling them give slightly beneath each step. The sand released tiny flickers of light where his boots pressed down, as though responding gently to his movement. Far ahead, the sands rose into a natural dune, shaped by the slow breathing of the realm's heat. He climbed to the top and paused. From the crest of the dune, Odin saw much of Muspelheim stretching into the distance. There were wide plains of dark stone, winding rivers of glowing lava, and broad hills shaped by ancient eruptions, whose force had long settled into quiet heat. In the distance, Tall spires of volcanic rock stood like towering monuments, their tops glowing softly as heat escaped through thin cracks. He climbed down the dune and continued toward one of the distant spires. The journey carried him to a landscape where the ground was textured with large plates of cooled lava, stacked like layers of cracked slate. The edges glowed faintly where heat rose through thin seams. When Odin stepped on them, faint vibrations hummed through the stone, carrying the memory of fire that had shaped every surface. Reaching the base of a giant spire, he looked up. The rock towered high, its surface marked with glowing lines that branched like quiet lightning, frozen in stone. These lines pulsed with slow warmth, spreading gentle light across the rugged surface. The spire stood like a guardian of the realm, firm and unmoving, shaped by fire but resting in silence. Odin continued until he reached a valley filled with soft, rolling hills of fire-lit stone. The hills were rounded and smooth, shaped by centuries of steady heat and slow cooling. Thin trails of glowing mist drifted across them, carrying warmth in gentle waves. The mist curled around Odin as he passed, leaving faint shimmering traces in the air. At the center of the valley lay a wide pool of molten rock. The lava was calm, moving only in slow circles. Its surface glowed with deep orange tones, creating reflections that danced slowly on the surrounding stone. The soft bubbling in the pool was steady and quiet, more like the gentle rise of warm springs than violent eruption. Odin sat near the edge of the pool, feeling the warmth radiate steadily around him. The glow washed the valley in calm colors, turning the stone surfaces into soft gradients of red and amber. Far above, patterns of heat shimmered in the air, bending the view of the spire tops in gentle waves. After a long moment, Odin rose and continued walking until he reached a ridge overlooking a final sweeping landscape. Broad plains of dark stone, glowing veins of lava winding like peaceful streams, and distant shapes rising through shimmering air. The entire realm felt like a quiet heart made of fire, beating slowly in calm, steady rhythms. As he took in the vastness, a soft shimmer formed behind him. Bifrost gathered gently, its colors rising like a dawn of cool light in the warm air. Odin turned toward the familiar glow. Before stepping into it, he looked once more at the quiet flames, the glowing rivers, and the slow-moving warmth of Muspelheim, a realm of gentle, eternal fire. Then he stepped into the rainbow light and let it carry him onward. The warm colors of Bifrost faded into cool, pale shades as Odin stepped into Niflheim, the realm of mist and ancient frost. A soft chill settled around him immediately. It was not sharp or painful, but steady and deep, like the calm cold of a long winter morning. The air carried a thin scent of ice and still water, drifting slowly through the quiet realm. Beneath his feet, the ground was firm and smooth, made of pale gray stone covered in a thin layer of frost. Each step left a faint footprint that glimmered briefly before fading back into the cold. A light mist curled around his boots, rising and falling with gentle motion, as though breathing in slow rhythm. Ahead stretched a flat expanse of ice. It shimmered faintly with soft blue light from beneath the surface. The ice was clear in some places, clouded in others, forming natural patterns that resembled frozen waves. The mist drifted across it in long curling trails, moving without hurry, shaped only by the quiet air. Odin began walking across the frozen field. His boots slid slightly on the smooth surface, but the ice was firm and strong. As he moved forward, the sound of his steps echoed in the stillness, each faint tap carrying outward before fading into the soft mist. The realm felt like a place untouched by time, where everything moved slowly and quietly. Near the center of the frozen expanse, Odin reached a broad crack in the ice. It was not deep enough to break the surface completely, but wide enough for a faint blue glow to leak through from beneath. The light pulsed softly, spreading a calm glow across the surrounding frost. Cold air drifted upward through the crack, carrying the scent of ancient, untouched water. Continuing his path, Odin reached the far end of the frozen plain, where the land rose gently into low hills covered in thick frost. The frost clung to the stone in long, delicate layers that looked like frozen feathers overlapping each other. When the faint light touched them, they shimmered with pale reflections, creating a calm, icy glow. He climbed the first hill slowly. The air grew colder the higher he went, and the mist drifted in thicker patterns. At the top of the hill, he stopped to look out across the land. Niflheim stretched endlessly in soft whites and pale grays, frozen lakes, mist-covered valleys, and distant shapes that shifted quietly behind drifting fog. The realm felt vast and deep, like an old dream frozen in place. Descending the far side of the hill, Odin entered a shallow valley where the ground was softer, made of snow that had fallen in thin layers over many years. The snow was light and powdery, moving in small puffs with each step he took. The valleys here felt gentle, shaped by wind more than by force. Small mounds of snow formed around scattered stones, giving the landscape the appearance of soft rolling waves. A frozen river wound through the valley. Its surface was smooth and glassy, reflecting the mist in faint, blurred patterns. Beneath the ice, slow currents moved in steady motion, visible only as shifting shapes of deeper blue. Odin followed the river's path, watching the currents drift like calm shadows below the cold surface. Eventually, the river led him to a wide, frozen lake. The lake was vast, stretching toward the horizon, its surface clearer than the river's. The ice here was thick and sturdy, revealing layers of frozen patterns beneath. Swirls, lines, and soft shapes formed an endless tapestry of frost, created by countless years of cold settling into the land. Odin stepped onto the lake. The ice made a low, deep sound as it adjusted to his presence. A slow vibration that traveled outward in soft ripples. The sound was not threatening but ancient, like the memory of glaciers shifting long ago. As he continued walking, the ice beneath him glowed faintly, reacting slowly to the pressure of his steps. Reaching the center of the lake, he paused. The mist above the ice drifted in slow circles, catching the faint light and creating a pale halo around him. In the stillness, Odin could feel the deep quiet of Niflheim, a silence thicker than any he had encountered before, but gentle in its own way. It was the silence of untouched places, where nothing rushed and nothing disturbed the cold. Leaving the lake behind, Odin continued toward a region where tall ice formations rose from the ground like natural towers. These formations were clear in some areas, letting pale light filter through, while other sections were frosted and opaque. The towers stood in clusters, forming narrow paths between them. As Odin walked through the icy corridors, soft reflections shifted across the surfaces, bending the light into slow-moving patterns. The air grew colder within the ice forests, but the cold here was calm and steady. Frost formed delicate crystals along the edges of the towers, growing in slow, layered patterns that resembled leaves made of ice. Odin brushed past one of the formations, and a soft ringing sound echoed from within the frozen structure, spreading outward like the tone of a distant chime. Beyond the ice towers lay a gentle slope, descending into a low basin, filled with thick fog. The fog moved in slow waves, rising and falling as though stirred by a quiet breath from beneath the earth. Odin walked carefully into the basin. The fog cooled the air even further, wrapping around him in soft layers. The ground beneath the fog was smooth and cold, made of solid frost that glittered faintly in the muted light. As he reached the center of the basin, the fog thinned slightly, revealing a frozen spring. The spring had once bubbled with water long ago, but now it was still, sealed beneath a clear layer of ice. Tiny bubbles were frozen in place just below the surface, creating soft dots that shimmered faintly, as the mist drifted by. A gentle pale light glowed from within the frozen spring, rising in slow pulses. Odin remained there for a moment, watching the light shift beneath the ice. Niflheim, though cold and quiet, carried a deep beauty, one shaped not by movement, but by stillness and time. It was a realm where calmness settled into every surface, forming soft, enduring patterns. When he finally turned away from the frozen spring, the mist around him began to shift. A faint shimmer appeared behind him, gathering in soft colors that stood out gently against the pale landscape. Bifrost rose slowly, its light warming the cold air with calm radiance. Odin approached the glowing bridge. Before stepping into it, he took one last look at the frozen lakes, the drifting mist, and the quiet expanse of Niflheim, a realm of calm frost and endless hush. Then he entered the soft colors of Bifrost once again. The pale colors of Bifrost brightened into soft greens and warm golds as Odin stepped into Vanaheim, the realm of growing fields and quiet harmony. A gentle breeze drifted through the air, carrying the scent of fresh leaves and distant flowers. The warmth here was soft and steady, like sunlight filtered through a thin curtain, never harsh, never loud. Beneath his feet, the ground was covered in fine grass that moved with the breeze in long, sweeping waves. The blades were warm to the touch, glowing faintly with soft light, where the sun's warmth lingered. The land around him felt open and peaceful, shaped not by force, but by cycles of growth, rest, and return. Ahead lay a broad meadow filled with clusters of wildflowers. Their colors were gentle, pale yellows, light blues, soft purples, blending seamlessly into the green of the grass. The flowers swayed quietly, moving in unison as though carried by the same steady breath. Bees drifted between them in slow arcs, their soft hum blending with the wind. Odin walked into the meadow, feeling the gentle give of the earth beneath each step. The soil here was rich and warm, holding the memory of countless seasons. As he moved, the flowers shifted around him, parting softly, as if guided by the breeze. The calm hum of insects and the faint rustling of petals filled the air with peaceful rhythm. Beyond the meadow lay a series of rolling hills. Their slopes were smooth and covered in tall, golden grass. Odin climbed the nearest hill at a slow, steady pace. At the top, he paused to take in the view. Vanaheim spread outward like a painted landscape, wide rivers gliding between fertile plains, soft forests gathered in gentle clusters, distant hills rising like calm waves in an endless sea of green. The sky above was clear and bright, colored in soft blues. Thin clouds floated lazily across it, drifting in slow motion. Birds moved through the sky in graceful glides, their wings catching the sunlight in pale flashes. They circled above the fields with an unhurried ease, blending into the peaceful rhythm of the realm. Odin descended the hill and approached a quiet river that wound through the plain. Its water was clear and gentle, moving in smooth currents that flowed around small stones in the riverbed. The surface shimmered in soft hues, reflecting the greens of the surrounding grass and the sky above. He walked along the bank, listening to the sound of the water flowing slowly beside him. Small fish moved just below the surface, their movements calm and graceful. Occasionally, one created a small ripple that drifted outward in soft circles. The riverbanks were lined with tall reeds and bright ferns that swayed lightly as the breeze touched them. Odin knelt briefly, placing his hand near the water. A cool sensation drifted upward, refreshing in a gentle, steady way. Following the river led him to a grove of slender trees. Their trunks were narrow and pale, and their branches hung low with soft green leaves. Sunlight filtered through the canopy in thin beams, creating shifting patterns on the forest floor. Moss grew in long soft beds beneath the trees, covering the ground in gentle cushioned layers. Odin walked slowly through the grove. The leaves rustled quietly above him, creating a calming sound that echoed softly in the enclosed space. The moss underfoot was springy and cool, muffling his steps. Tiny flowers grew among the roots of the trees, their petals pale and delicate. They seemed to open and close very slowly, moving with the rhythm of the breeze. As he exited the grove, the land widened again into open fields. A herd of gentle forest animals grazed in the distance. They moved slowly, their movements quiet and smooth. Their presence added to the sense of harmony that filled the realm, not disruptive, not threatening, only another part of the calm flow of life. Beyond the fields lay a large lake. The water stretched far, its surface still and mirror-like. The edge was lined with smooth stones, warmed by sunlight. Odin approached the lake and stood at its shore. The water reflected the sky with perfect clarity, broken only by occasional ripples caused by the soft wind. At the center of the lake, water plants drifted in long strands, rising and falling gently with the unseen currents. Odin followed the shore until he reached a thin wooden path, old but sturdy, extending over a shallow part of the lake. He walked out onto the path, feeling it shift slightly under his weight. Beneath him, the clear water revealed small stones, fish, and plants swaying like gentle ribbons. The calmness of the lake settled over him like warm air. When he reached the end of the path, he stood still, letting the realm's quiet energy surround him. Vanaheim's peace was not silence but harmony. Every breeze, every leaf, every ripple in the water moved with purpose, following cycles older than memory. The land felt alive, but in a calm, slow way. Leaving the lake, Odin traveled toward a cluster of larger trees growing in a natural ring. Their branches arched toward the center, forming a wide canopy that sheltered the ground below. Sunlight filtered through in scattered shapes, creating patterns that shifted slowly as the leaves moved above. Inside the ring, the air was cool and filled with the soft scent of herbs. The ground within the circle was covered in plants used for healing. Their shapes were simple and gentle: broad leaves, tiny packed petals, soft stems that swayed with the wind. Each plant grew naturally, but with a quiet order. Odin knelt to observe them, noticing the faint glow of life that pulsed subtly from their roots. When he rose again, the light around him began to shift. A soft shimmer formed near the edge of the grove. Colors gathered slowly in calm motions, forming the familiar glow of Bifrost. It rose like a gentle mist of rainbow light, standing out softly against the greens and golds of Vanaheim. Odin turned toward the glowing bridge, the final step in this cycle of quiet travel. Before entering, he looked once more at the peaceful realm. The wide meadows, the calm rivers, the serene forests, and the endless harmony that held the land in gentle balance. A realm of growth, peace, and steady renewal. Then Odin stepped into the soft colors, letting Bifrost carry him onward. The soft glow of Bifrost faded around Odin as he stepped back into the quiet sky between realms. The lights shimmered for a moment longer, then dissolved into the empty air like drifting mist. He stood on a familiar plateau where the bridge often began and ended, a place where the wind moved in slow, steady breaths, and the boundary between the worlds felt thin and gentle. Here, the sky carried no single color. It shifted through calm shades of gray, silver, and pale blue, blending together in long, soft waves. Odin stood still for a moment, letting the silence settle around him. The air was cool and smooth, brushing lightly against his cloak. He lifted his gaze, following the fading trace of colors that had guided him through every realm. Now the light had quieted, leaving only a clear, open sky and a stillness that spread outward like a calm tide. Behind him lay the memory of each world: the bright towers of Asgard, the soft fields of Vanaheim, the shadowed roots of Niflheim, the burning horizon of Muspelheim, the deep forests of Alfheim, the winding paths of Midgard, the haunted stillness of Helheim, the silent stones of Jotunheim, and the tangled branches of Svartalfheim. Each realm carried a unique rhythm, its own calm, its own quiet pulse. Odin felt them lingering within him like distant echoes, still moving softly through his thoughts. He began walking across the plateau. The ground was made of smooth stone, pale and cool beneath his boots. Small patches of grass grew in thin lines where cracks formed in the rock, the blades bending gently in the quiet wind. The path ahead led toward a wide overlook that faced the open expanse beyond the realms, a place where the edges of creation blurred into soft distance. As Odin approached the overlook, the sky began to shift. The light became warmer, settling into a calm gold, as though the sun were rising through a layer of gentle mist. The horizon stretched in every direction, reaching far beyond sight. The air carried no weight, no sharpness, only a slow, steady calm that wrapped the world in soft layers. He paused at the overlook, resting his hands lightly at his sides. Below, the vastness of the worlds lay hidden beyond drifting clouds. The clouds moved in long, slow patterns, curling and spreading like sighs of a sleeping sea. Their color shifted between pale white and silver, touched here and there by faint reflections of the realms below. The journey had taken him through light and shadow, warmth and cold, movement and stillness. Each realm had revealed a different way the world breathed, a different pattern in the great tapestry that held all life. Odin reflected on these patterns, not with urgency, but with calm understanding, as though he were letting gentle waves move through him. In Niflheim he had felt the quiet of deep frost, the kind that held memory in still layers beneath ice. The cold had not bitten, nor threatened, it had simply existed, patient and unmoving. In Muspelheim he had sensed fire that was not wild, but steady and warm, flowing like glowing rivers shaped by time. Midgard had shown movement without haste, life unfolding in soft steps along winding paths. Each realm had carried its own calm, and Odin had walked through them with open senses, gathering their rhythms like a traveler collecting simple stones. Now, standing on the overlook, he let these experiences settle within him, like snowflakes drifting onto quiet ground. The sky shifted again, deepening into a richer gold. Thin lines of orange and soft red blended across the horizon. The wind grew warmer, carrying faint scents that did not belong to any single realm. Scents like distant pine, cool water, fresh earth, and faint embers. Perhaps they came from nowhere in particular, or perhaps from everywhere at once. Odin breathed them in, allowing the calm air to fill him. He stepped away from the overlook and followed a thin path carved into the stone. The path curved gently along the edge of the plateau, leading toward a quiet ridge. Moss grew thickly along its sides, forming soft green cushions on the stone. Small white flowers emerged from between the moss, their petals trembling lightly in the breeze. Odin brushed his hand near them without touching, watching the petals flutter. The ridge sloped upward, forming a small rise overlooking a second expanse of sky. Here, the clouds parted, revealing a deep, open space beneath. The air grew cooler, carrying a soft, whisper-like sound, something between a breeze and a distant hum. The sound was steady, rhythmic, and calming, like the quiet heartbeat of the world itself. Odin moved to the top of the ridge and sat on a flat stone, worn smooth by time and wind. From here, the sky stretched endlessly, shifting through soft tones that blended at their edges. The plateau felt suspended between everything he had seen and everything he would one day see again. The moment held no weight of decision, no urgency, only the gentle pause that follows a long path. Clouds drifted slowly below. They formed shapes and dissolved them, rising and falling like calm waves. One cloud stretched into a long ribbon of silver, curling at its end before breaking apart. Another spread wide like a soft blanket, shading the air beneath it with muted light. The patterns changed without sound, their beauty quiet and unassuming. Odin closed one eye for a moment, letting the calm light rest on his face. His journey had been long, but not heavy. It had moved at the pace of steady footsteps and quiet breaths, carrying him through places shaped by ancient rhythms. Each realm had been a reminder that the vast world was not held together by strength or force, but by balance, by the gentle coexistence of warmth and cold, light and dark, growth and rest. He opened his eye again and looked toward the horizon. A faint shimmer appeared there, thin at first, then slowly growing. The shimmer looked like the soft edge of dawn, where colors blend but do not yet brighten. It moved gently, forming a calm, shifting veil of gold and silver. Odin watched it without rising, sensing its purpose. The shimmer drifted closer, floating like a slow-moving tide across the sky. As it neared the plateau, the air warmed slightly, carrying a soft glow that brushed the stone with pale light. The shimmer did not form a bridge or a doorway. It was more like a reminder, a quiet sign that the path continued, even beyond this still moment. Odin stood again, rising slowly from the stone. His steps were unhurried as he approached the gentle glow. He walked until he stood at its edge, where the shimmer touched the plateau. Up close, the light looked like fine golden threads drifting in the air, weaving through one another in delicate patterns. The threads swayed softly, carried by a breeze that did not touch the physical world. For a moment, Odin simply observed. The shimmering veil seemed to respond to his presence, its threads moving with faint pulses of light. It did not call nor instruct. It simply existed, offering quiet continuity. He lifted his gaze once more toward the horizon beyond the shimmer. There were no clear shapes, no visible path, only soft emptiness and a calm invitation. The journey through the realms had been complete, but the world held more spaces, more quiet corners, shaped by time. The calmness of this place held room for many possible steps. Odin lowered his gaze to the glowing threads before him. Slowly, he extended his hand, letting his fingers drift near the soft light. The shimmer bent lightly around his touch, forming gentle ripples that spread outward like circles on still water. The feeling was neither warm nor cold, simply present, soft as a distant memory. With a steady breath, Odin stepped forward into the veil. The golden threads parted around him, forming a quiet passage that carried no sound. The air grew brighter for a brief moment, then shifted into a calm, muted glow. The shimmer moved with him, opening a path ahead in slow, smooth motions. Behind him the plateau remained silent, its stones cool and steady beneath the endless sky. The clouds continued their slow drift, unaffected by where Odin walked now. The world held its calm rhythm, neither beginning nor ending with his steps. As the shimmer enveloped him fully, the colors softened into pale gold and silver. The air felt weightless, as though he were walking through a place made of quiet breath and gentle thought. The path did not lead to a realm, nor a destination. It led simply onward into new stillness, new quiet, new peace. Odin moved deeper into the soft light until his shape blended with the glow. The shimmering veil shifted once more, then slowly faded from sight, dissolving into the horizon like morning mist rising into the sun. The plateau remained as it had always been, calm, steady, open. And somewhere beyond the quiet sky, the traveler continued his gentle journey across the endless peace that lay beyond the realms.